Legacy. In law, a legacy is something that someone gets by inheritance or by a will. In historical terms, a legacy is something that is handed down from one period of time to another period of time. Often it means something handed down from an ancestor to a predecessor. Let's get into it. All right, guys, the first thing I'd like to do is I would like to congratulate my son, McKinley, for passing the home builders exam here in Alabama. Our exam is a 6-hour exam. You got 2-part. That's a business management side, and then a 4-part. That's a technical side, or skill side. He finally passed it. He had his ups and downs, but also McKinley went through my program at Lawson. So I had him to actually come under my program, and he had to exhibit and prove to me that, this is something they wanted to do. In today's time, guys, what we have to do, especially with our boys, is we really have to guide them in the direction they need to go in. You get the energy and you wind them up and you let them go, but you got to direct them in the direction that they need to go in. You, as a father, for the most part, you have to help those guys find their purpose. Find their purpose and identify their passion. That's what dads do for the most part. And if you do that, and you need to identify it at such early age, whether it's in sports, or whether it's in skill set, or whatever it is, guys, purpose and passion means anything. The purpose and passion can be two different things. Just because it's your, passion, don't mean it's your purpose. And just because it's your purpose doesn't mean it's your passion. I think my son, he loves music. I think that's his passion. That doesn't necessarily mean that's his purpose. But for one thing I did as a father, we have to create legacies. We have to find what we're good at. And then we can teach it to our son to see if we can get them to go in the right direction. And where this helps so that if the son can grab this, especially if it's your father's purpose or passion or whatever, it could be your father's purpose. But if you can grab that purpose and take the torch and move on with it, he can actually learn from his father so that he won't make the mistakes that his father made. See, guys, I don't think that every generation should start over again. I was sitting down in a bar and we were talking, me and my buddies was talking. They was like, yeah, man, I got to make my kids, it's got to be tough on them. I got to make them, let them have it. I don't believe in that. I don't subscribe in that mindset. Now, yes, you're going to have to work a little bit, just like my son. Yeah, you got to get your builder's license. If I'm going to cut you loose on some of these houses, you got to show me that you can get your builder's license and have your own stuff going on. You can get through my program. Now I can take you a little serious now. And here's the thing, guys, getting your builder's license, for anybody to get your builder's license, that's just the beginning. That's the beginning. That's probably one of, and guys, I'm not trying to downplay getting your builder's license. But that just means you took the test, and what that means is getting a builder's license means that you can go get the information because it's an open book test. What you have demonstrated when you take that home builder's exam is that you can find the answer. So now if you go out here and you mess somebody's contract up or you do something and you don't know what you're doing, well, they can get you for incompetence because you should know how to go find the information. You got the books. You demonstrated that when you took the test. You know the code book. You know how to find stuff. Yes. So it's really just the beginning, guys. You got to build your couple of houses. And I would even say that you need to just focus on building, at least your first 3 or 4 years when you're building, But having my son to come in, people can kind of look at that as a legacy. Hey, he's a legacy builder. He can learn from everything that I've done wrong, and he can take that thing and keep going. But I do not believe that the next generation should be stuck out there for the wolves and fend for themselves. Matter of fact, guys, I would almost argue that in today's time, you have to have, guys, it's going to take your son, it's going to take them almost till they're 30 years old before you would start seeing that they can exist on their own. That's what it's going to take. Kids today are liabilities. They're not going to generate you any money. They're not going to be to the point to where you're not going to have to dish out money and take care of them or do something for them until they're probably 30 years old. It's not like it used to be, guys. The economy is totally different. Inflation is not moving like it used to. Today, if you got $20, it won't get you anywhere. Get you one meal. Back when I was a kid, you give me $20, I can, even in college, man, I could probably operate almost 2 weeks off of $20. You can't do that today, guys. Inflation, taxes, interest, and all this kind of stuff, it has made it almost impossible. You go to the grocery store today, I mean, you can't even get a meal. You can't even get a buggy full of groceries under $300. You just can't do it. This is why you can't take your kids, guys. People say, well, they need to learn how to make things. They need to learn how to go through things. They need to learn how to live on their own and all that kind of stuff. No, man. If you can help it, you need to have these kids to where they need to learn as much as they can learn while they're under your umbrella. You need to build them as solidly as you can build them before you launch them into the next generation. Before you launch them out here to be on their own. They need to have everything, for the most part, solid, guys. They need to have it that way. Then you can let them be on their own. And guys, I'm gonna tell you, man, it's probably gonna take me. They're probably 30 years old. But your boys, yes. Now, my son don't live with me, you know. You do need to get, as a boy, I think they do need to get out there and get on their own. As a boy, you know, he's still kind of sort of under my umbrella because he's renting a house from me. I think that's okay. My daughter, she can probably stay here indefinitely or until she get married, you know. But guys, you got to understand, your boys and your girls, they live in totally two different worlds here in the United States. And then in some cases, when you deal with African-American boys, if it's an African-American boy, you can amplify that probably by 10 in what they're going to have to deal with. And it's not, guys, here's the thing. A lot of people like to say racism. Racism does exist, but I don't think that that's the African-American male's problem that he has to deal with, that he has to face. His problem, for the most part, guys, is two things. Well, there are many things, but I'm going to just bring out these two things. One main thing is the perception. He's perceived to be a certain way. And here's the thing, man. When you perceive him to be a certain way, it's hard to undo that perception. And here's what you gotta understand, guys. As an African-American male, and I tell these boys this all day, every day, especially with your hair and all that kind of stuff and the way you dress and things like that. See, when things happen on TV, or when other races see African-American boys and they show that picture on TV or in whatever social media platform you're on, they show that picture of that African-American boy committing these crimes and stuff like that. They take that guy and they take any African-American boy and they put them together. This is what's happening. The world really doesn't make any distinctions when it comes down to black males. They just don't. You can have a black male that's a doctor And because people, when they interact with black males, sometimes in some cases, they don't hardly, interact with them because you guys, we are a minority in this country. We're what, 13% now? We're the second largest minority. And when people see us, they make no distinctions. You're no different than the guy that just shot somebody or just robbed somebody, or just did a drug deal, or one of them rappers. The world, even your own women, they don't make any distinctions when it comes down to dealing with you or dealing with us. So that's why I say my boys and my daughter, they live in totally two different worlds in this country. It is what it is. And like I said, I don't, in that case, it's the media that's doing that stuff. It's the perception that's doing that stuff, not necessarily racism. We call it racism, but it's really not. Because we're doing it to ourselves. We're the one that's creating this perception. Because if you stop doing the stuff that you're doing, then no one will have anything to connect us to with all these negative things that's going on. Then there's another thing, socioeconomic status. My kids, like I said, guys, I don't necessarily think it's racism for the most part. I think it's socioeconomic. We're not connected to the social platform to go to the next level. If you got this group of people over here, they are connected. They know bankers. They know this person. They know that person, people of power. And you over here, you trying to navigate in this black spot where you're not connected to that socioeconomic platform. And then you got to have, you got to have the talent. You got to be able to perform, and then you have to be able to be connected. You can be able to perform, but you're not connected to these guys, which decreases your probability of getting exposed to the point to where these people can see the value that you have. This is where fathers come in at, guys. This is where I need to help my son become that legacy. I'm proud of him. Like I said, this home builders test was just the beginning. We got a whole nother world to deal with now. And this is what we got to do, guys. But I just wanted to make this video to let us know that you can't just cut these kids loose. Like I said, I talked to my daughter today, and hey, man, we can look. She live in a whole other world. Worst case scenario, she can get government assistance. I mean, J.P. Morgan even came up with this thing where they're going to give $8 billion to African American women. She got that access. But as a male, and I'm not just talking about black males, I'm just talking about all males. It's tough. You got to be able to fend for yourself. And then fathers come in and see, we don't have that anymore, guys. I don't know where we're going to get. It typically used to be the fathers that would come in, direct their boys, and help them be legacies, legacy contractors. You got a plumber, teach your son how to do plumbing. His son was 8, 9 years old, toting pipes and helping his dad. And then he became a plumber when he got old enough. Then he became more financially savvy and showed his dad how to actually run the business when he became when he got the mindset, or when he went to school or something like that. This is where legacies are created. Unfortunately, in the African American community, our kids are born at 75% out of wedlock. No fathers in the household. And like I said, guys, it's not because these dads are just, I'm not saying, there's some extreme cases where you have that. These dads are not just, they're not just walking away to go get some milk and just never show back up again. This is just, without dads in the household, man, it really hurts the legacy mindset. It really does. And I got some points, and I just want to make sure I'm hitting everything. And, in today's time, guys, today's time is so different for kids, man. It's tougher. I had to give it to them. It's more expensive. You can track them easier. If their credit, stuff like that, they can be tracked really, really easy. Back when I was coming up, man, they had this little thing where you just swipe the card, you slide this little thing, and it created a carbon copy, and it might have took them to send that stuff to the credit card company. It might took 2 weeks for them to realize that I didn't have the money available. They don't do that. It's instantaneous now. You take a card, you swipe it, and if you don't have that money or you don't have that credit on that card, immediately decline. A fraud alert. Kids, it's harder for them today. They got so many distractions. They got way more distractions than we ever could think of. I mean, we can just sit here and just line them all up. I'm not going to even go through all of them, but just everything. They just got a lot of stuff they got. We cannot let our kids get out there and get that distracted. We have got to be on top of them. We have to have our thumb on our kids, probably all the way up until they're 30 years old. It's taking longer for these kids to launch today. Make sure I'm handling everything. And that's kind of what I want to do, man. I want to shout out to my son, again, McKinley. I'm proud of you. Like I said, the home builder's license is just the beginning, man. I mean, you got a whole nother world you got to dig into now. I'm going to hold your hand with this right here, man, until you probably 30 years old. It is what it is. Maybe you can teach me some, maybe I can teach you some, but I can't just let you loose out there right now. Think about that, parents. Create legacies. Don't launch them too soon. You guys have a good day.